Greetings, fellow men. Servus Männer. It's Red Pill Germany again, and today I want to talk about something that I wanted to talk about for a long time already, but now I got more information on it, and that is Turkish asylum seekers in Germany. So when people think of asylum seekers at the moment in Europe, they think of Middle Easterners from Syria maybe, and also people from Afghanistan or from Africa maybe, but Turkish people in Germany especially, people think that they came as guest workers, right? But we also know that at the moment with Erdogan in Turkey transforming the country there and clashes between opposition and his followers, it becomes actually very dangerous in Turkey to be a journalist or to be a opposition member, and in many areas also being a Kurd might be not so nice at the moment. So this is something that I predicted and that I saw coming, that other people also talked about and they have seen that, but now we have some numbers actually. So the first time I heard about present day refugees from Turkey was actually when I heard about NATO soldiers, Turkish NATO soldiers that were stationed in Europe were applying for asylum here in Germany, for example, during the time that this unsuccessful coup went on in Turkey. Now, of course, Erdogan has a lot of enemies in the secular military, and wave after wave it has been purged of Kemalists or secular-minded Turks, but still the military remains traditionally one of the enemies of an Islamist state, and this is why a lot of military members and their families are persecuted now in Turkey. So there were a bunch of people with diplomatic passes and also these higher military members stationed in Europe. They immediately declared that they are seeking for asylum in Germany during the coup. And actually they have been granted asylum here in Germany now. That of course angers Erdogan because he wants them sent back to Turkey so that he can imprison them, of course. It is actually peculiar. I don't know if you're aware of that, but the witch hunt that is going on in Turkey at the moment is not like, oh, you're against the Islamist state, you're an enemy of us. No. The accusation that is brought forth against these people is that they are a secret or open supporter of Fethullah Gulen and his movement. I don't know if you heard about that man. He's an old guy in his 70s now, living in Pennsylvania of all places. He has a green card in the US, and he is enemy number one in Turkey at the moment. Erdogan really hates that guy, and he sees him and his world-spanning sect or spiritual group, whatever. He sees them at the core of a conspiracy against Turks and Erdogan, of course. So that guy started as a Turkish state educated preacher, as an imam basically. In Turkey, as I said before, the state controls Islam completely. Even the Friday sermons are written by officers of the Turkish state. That is a very peculiar Turkish thing, and he started as one of those. And he was very anti-communist, and he also is described as a nationalist by many. Gulen and his philosophy also puts education, for example, into the center. They try to attract young, educated, hardworking people, and then make them a part of their sect, of their network. A lot of commenters describe him as an architect of a Islam that is compatible with Western democracy and liberalism and such things. And when you listen to him, you might almost have this idea. But what the English Wikipedia site doesn't tell you, what the German Wikipedia site actually tells you, when it asks about his positions on women's rights, for example, very important, right? Or of the Kurdish conflict or Syrian conflict, whatever. The German Wikipedia site tells us that his position on apostasy, that means leaving Islam, or just becoming an atheist or just converting to another faith. For him, this is high treason. So even Fethullah Gulen and his nice Islam, quote unquote, even he sees apostasy as high treason punishable by death. So don't be fooled by the English Wikipedia entry of Fethullah Gulen. He doesn't differ at all from a hardcore Mahometanist who beheads atheists, Christians, and people of other faiths. His sect or his movement is also officially labeled a terrorist organization and banned in Turkey, but it flourishes in other parts of the world, and he has many schools, even universities, and a whole media empire in his organization. So, and I personally don't believe that everyone who is accused of being a member of this Gulen movement in Turkey at the moment is actually a member of the Gulen movement. I just think that they bring that up as a one-size-fits-all accusation, you know. It's basically like in the witch hunts. Yeah, you're a witch. Yeah, try to prove that you're not a witch. So, and another peculiar thing is also that in March of 2017, it was written in the news that a lot of Turks now applied for asylum in Germany, as I said before. But then our Secretary of the Interior, he said that the chances that they will be accepted are, however, low. Only about 8% normally are accepted. Now in May, I read an article that the acceptance rate of Turkish refugees or of Turkish asylum seekers has skyrocketed from around 8% to almost 20% or 18%. So almost every fifth Turk who applies for asylum in Germany is also granted asylum in Germany. So this is one of the cases where politicians try to soothe the public and to appease them by saying, oh, it's not going to be that bad. But then when we cross that bridge, then it will actually be that bad. And that happens time and time again. And it's the same thing here. They say, oh, only about 8% of Turks are actually granted asylum. And then boom, it's 18, right? So the newspaper Die Welt is actually very straightforward, and they just say, oh, this is actually just a sign of a historic normalization of events and of circumstances. So that means there were always a lot of asylum seekers coming from Turkey. Most of the Turks who ever came to Germany were asylum seekers, and they said that this relative time period of low asylum rates from Turkey is now ending, and in the 80s and the 90s we had a lot of asylum seekers from Turkey. So in addition to all the other asylum seekers and immigrants we have now, our good old friends the Turks are on the list once again. And one more peculiar thing about Turks, among others, that I learned about in Japan actually, is that the Turks also have the Mongolian mark. And I just learned about the Mongolian mark when I was in Japan, because the Japanese have it too. The Mongolian mark is it's also called the Mongolian spot, and it is a benign, flat congenital birthmark with wavy borders and irregular shape. In 1883 it was described and named after Mongolians by Erwin Belz, a German anthropologist based in Japan. It normally disappears 3 to 5 years after birth and almost always by puberty. The most common color is blue, although they can be blue-gray, blue-black, or deep brown. Now, Europeans, white people, don't have this Mongolian spot, but 90 to 95% of Asians, 80 to 85% of Native Americans, and also non-European Latin Americans, Caribbeans of mixed race, Turkish people, as I said, have it, but also Sub-Sahara Africans, Oceanians, Micronesians, and Polynesians. So this is actually quite funny. A lot of Japanese men, I was told, don't know about this birthmark because they have never seen the lower back or the position above the ass actually of a Japanese baby, and then when they see it they kind of freak out. They ask their wives, what is that spot? Yeah, it's the Mongolian mark. They all have it pretty much, and we Westerners, we don't have that one. So the Turks have it too. And when I asked Japanese people about Turkish people, the first thing that they said is, "Oh, they have the Mongolian Mark II. They're like us." And I said, "Yeah, they are like you. They're from Asia, exactly." So that was just a little useless trivia at the end. But in summary, one can say that more and more Turks are now applying for asylum in Germany. Among the first since the coup in 2016 were military personnel and higher officials of the state, actually, people with diplomatic passes. And now the acceptance rate went up from 8 to 18%, maybe also due to the fact that a lot of these people now have an actual reason to apply for asylum. Asylum is not made for a person to just migrate from a low income country to a high income country and apply for welfare there. Asylum is actually made for people who are persecuted. So I guess many of these people from Turkey, they would actually fit the description of an asylum seeker, and possibly rightfully so are accepted as asylum seekers in Germany as compared to somebody who just might come from the Middle East or Africa, but in his country there is no war, or he is not specifically persecuted for his political or religious convictions. Yeah? Alright, enjoy the rest of your day, and as always, Servus Kameraden!